Hello and welcome to the Week 2 update for the Dragon's Tavern. We're at 626 and we are now through Week 2 of 12 in the project. This week we had 17 commits from 2 contributors, which brings our total commits to 75 from 5 total lifetime contributors. This week Tyler came in and added some really cool looking floor materials, so we will see that in a second. And then I went through and added quite a bit of the core functionality to the game. So we added some functionality to the magic cards. The opponent can now play cards both in attack and defense position. There's no logic on that yet. They're just choosing random cards from their hand and playing it. The player can put cards down in attack and defense position, as well as they can attack the opponent and the UI will update correctly. And then we have some camera changes based on the game state, so that way the player can see a little bit better about what's going on. We also have a card preview in the top left, so that way if you can't squint that far into the game, then you can see whichever card you're hovering over, regardless of whose side it is on. And then temporarily we had the player could attack every one of the opponent's cards at the same time. That was a good test to see if it's functioning. I've since removed that and we're trying to do individual cards attacking each other, which is a little bit more tricky. We also laid out the groundwork for those individual cards. So let's pop on over to the demo here. You can see we changed the life point total to 99 just for testing purposes, and you can see Tyler's floor material down here, which is looking really cool. But if we take a look at the game, currently the player only has 2 types of cards in their hand, so that's not broken, that's just the way it's currently set up here. And then once the player draws, we have 10 points that we can use, and we can still hover over it. You can see in the top left the different cards that are up there. We probably need to change the size of the text field to make it a little bit more dynamic. But if we can play a card, and we can play a card, we can hit the end face here, and our camera shifts up to get a bit closer view, and you can still hover over the cards and see what is what. I want to first demonstrate attacking the opponent, so we can click this card, and since the opponent doesn't have any cards on the field, we can do a direct attack, and since this vampire chef has 5 attack, and they have 10 total life points, we'll do the direct attack, and they go down to 5. And we could attack there, and then we'll end the game because their life points are at 0. But I want to see the opponent draw their hand, and then they'll play their cards on the field there, so you can see that they're both in attack and defense position, and you can hover over it to see what the different cards are. And I believe that is mostly what we have here. We'll just sort of show that you can click on these different cards and it is displaying in the console what the current matchup is, but it's not entirely working at the moment, so it's something to keep in mind for next week. That's the current demo. If we pop on over to the Trello, I didn't get through everything that I wanted to get done this week, so once the functionalities happen of the monster versus monster combat, then essentially all of these tasks can go away. So I'm not too concerned that we're falling behind. We just need to get that all taken care of. Looking at week 3, we're starting to get into some art. So if anybody would like to help out with some art for the cards or art on the card backs or the cards that are in the deck, that would be appreciated. We also need to work on some set 2 card functionality, which is about 60% there. And again, once we figure out these monsters, then that'll be entirely the way there. And then monsters can be tributed for points. The idea behind that will be if the player only has 4 points per turn, then they can tribute monsters that are on the field to gain points back to their hand, so that way they can play stronger monsters. So if anybody would like to take a shot at that, that would also be greatly appreciated. Looking a little bit further ahead, we have some music coming up here, and then this is just a quick one-line piece of code that's probably already done, and then we would display the health and the functionality of the opponent health and the player health off of individual combat. So that's a quick look ahead, and that is our weekly update for the Dragon's Tavern.